Tonight, bad call. An AFL umpire suspended over another costume party controversy. A baby caught up in a terrifying gunpoint home invasion in Melbourne's west. 240 k's an hour on the Monash. Sparks fly during a wild police chase. Thousands of racing revellers roll into Melbourne, live to Flemington for the countdown to the Cup. Too close to call the final push in the race to the White House. Melbourne's grocery black market, the crooks cashing in on the cost of living crisis. And stage fright, the heart in mouth fall during Coldplay's Marvel Stadium finale.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. The AFL is dealing with a new party scandal tonight, and this time it involves one of their own. An umpire has been suspended for dressing up as terrorist Osama bin Laden at a post-season function. Rochelle Brown has the fallout from league headquarters, and Rochelle, this beggars belief.
Mitch, experienced field umpire Lee Hawson has been banned from round one of the next season after he admitted to dressing up as Osama bin Laden at an end-of-year function. It unfolded in a private space at a Melbourne restaurant the day after the grand final. The theme of the day, characters from the 2000s. The league says there were no skits involved and Hawson changed into the costume at the venue and wore a mask for a short period of time. He's apologised today, saying, "I'm sorry, I made an error of judgment. I never intended to offend anyone." The party scandal comes just weeks after 13 GWS Giants players were sanctioned for wearing distasteful and offensive costumes during their Wacky Wednesday celebrations. They also referenced the September 11 terrorist attack. The harshest sanction for one of the GWS players was a 6-week ban. As it stands tonight, Lee will be back after missing just one game. Mitch?
Rochelle Brown at Docklands, thank you. Gang violence is raging across Melbourne's western suburbs, with a family of 9, including a baby, ambushed inside their Melton home. The attack was one of 3 carried out by the same group of armed thugs on the same night.
In tears and still shaking, father of 7 Camise recalls a night from hell. 7 gang members armed themselves with machetes and guns and stormed the Melton home where his family was sleeping.
They are pointing the gun on my head here, and I got the little kitchen knife on my neck.
What?
And I got machetes on the stomach.
Camise's wife had woken to make a bottle for their 1-year-old baby when the nightmare began.
Wake me up when she screamed on my name, Camise, Camise, Camise.
The thugs smashed everything in their path, the family car, the walls, the cabinets, even the doorbell.
They're all holding machetes, smash hammers, and the gun.
Their terrified children locked themselves inside bedrooms.
Then they try to get into my 2 sons' rooms.
What did they do with this?
They just pull it back and they hold it to the door. They hold the door with it. And then when they try to smash with the hammer, the door didn't open for them.
One of his young daughters escaped, racing next door for help. Were you scared?
And we're really scared.
7 News understands the gang had already invaded and smashed up another family home a few kilometres away before they rearmed and struck again. Caught on camera, armed with various weapons. It's believed the same gang destroyed a 3rd home in the same night, but in St Albans, with detectives now investigating whether those involved are known to each other.
Everything been destroyed.
No arrests have been made. Tyrrell Stowers, 7 News.
A bailed teenager in a stolen Porsche has led police on a high-speed chase across Melbourne's southeast. Estelle Greepink has the latest, and Estelle, police say the driver reached speeds of 240 kilometres per hour.
Well, Mitch, police were watching from above as this car sped erratically down the Monash Freeway around 4:30 this morning. Officers were eventually able to deploy stop sticks on this street here in Toorak. The vision from the police chopper shows sparks flying as the young driver keeps going on the rims. Eventually, the car comes to a stop on Queen's Avenue in Caulfield East, and the officers quickly arrested the occupants as they tried to flee. Police allege the driver was a 16-year-old boy. He now faces a raft of charges, including dangerous driving, reckless conduct endangering life, burglary and failing to answer bail. A 15-year-old boy was charged with car theft with the Porsche stolen from Q East last week, and 4 14-year-old girls were released with a caution. That alleged driver appeared in the Children's Court late today. The magistrate was told he has ADHD and ODD and he needs to see a doctor. He's been remanded in custody ahead of his next court date. Mitch?
Estelle Greepink at Toorak, thank you. To some brighter news now, and the finishing touches are being applied at Flemington on the eve of Australia's greatest horse race. Officials are busy preparing for the 164th running of the Melbourne Cup as racegoers arrive by air, land and even sea.
A Cup Eve tradition crowns Call of the Card, where cash is king.
1,000 each way. $500,000.
Race favourite Caulfield Cup runner-up Buckaroo spent the morning relaxing at Altona Beach while his trainer felt the pressure trackside.
And always nerve-breaking for the coach of a team to make sure that they're passing their relevant tests.
Over near the airport, 1,000 lucky racing fans were given the chance to meet their idols and pose with the $750,000 trophy. The Living Legends event was in lieu of the annual parade, which was cancelled for the second year in a row, this time organisers blaming Metro tunnel works in the city.
It's very nice, it's got a lovely feel. It's lovely that all the champions are here. And I'll be glad when we go right back into town. I like it when it's in the centre of the city.
So too would the 3,000 Sydney-siders who sailed into Port Melbourne this morning on a Cup-themed cruise.
The atmosphere begins the second you step on board.
The 6-day celebration features a fashion parade, fascinator workshops and a glimpse into the big day.
I'd love to call the race, but I don't have my binoculars.
Here's your binoculars.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Down they come, 200 metres to go. It's a race into.
Another 2 cruise ships will arrive here tomorrow morning, dropping off almost 7,000 more Cup attendees into Melbourne. The 3 combined expected to make up more than 10% of the total crowd.
With the 3 ships, it brings about $10 million to Melbourne.
General admission is completely sold out. The VRC expects more than 90,000 to be trackside tomorrow.
It's the race that stops the world now. It used to stop the nation.
Bethan Yeoman, 7 News.
And a rags to riches story is looming for one group of owners ahead of the Cup. Kate Massey is in South Melbourne tonight, and Kate, they all own a micro share in a horse once owned by King Charles.
Well, Mitch, there's no story quite like this in the Melbourne Cup. This is the place to be if you've got a share in the horse just fine. I'm joined by our racing expert, Emma Freedman. Emma, how incredible is this? There's so many people who have a share.
It is incredible. So he was the royal horse purchased by the royal family and now trained by racing royalty in Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott, owned by 1,600 people right across the country. They bought their shares for $250 and now they have a live chance in a Melbourne Cup. It's quite incredible.
How you say it's incredible? It's amazing the concept that anyone is able to be a part of the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this horse in particular. I think everyone tomorrow will be talking about him as the people's horse. Of course, a Melbourne Cup winning trainer in Gay Waterhouse, Jai McNeil, his jockey has already won a Melbourne Cup as well. So in terms of the story, I think it would be a fairy tale saying that the every man and every woman can be part of the race that stops the nation.
You're buying into just fine tomorrow?
I've already done it. I've been there from the beginning. It's a great thrill to be part of a crew who love their racing, love getting to the races and love supporting these beautiful animals when they go out on the track to do what they do best.
Thank you for your time. The energy here is certainly infectious. It'll be much of the same tomorrow, Mitch.
Yes, indeed. Kate Massey at South Melbourne, thank you. Live now to Jane Bunn, who's at the track. And Jane, the Cup is likely to be run in spectacular spring sunshine.
Oh,
Isn't it amazing, Mitch? Racegoers are in for a treat under blue skies and light winds. Tomorrow is looking stunning here at Flemington. Organisers are expecting a sellout crowd of more than 90,000 people for the 164th running of the race that stops the nation. I'm expecting a pleasant top of 25. There should be barely a cloud in the sky and just a light sea breeze. Gates open here at 8:30 a.m. Mitch, the big race is on at 3. I'll have your full weather forecast a little later.
See you then. Thank you very much, Jane. Daniel Andrews has urged Jewish philanthropists to cut their funding to organisations unless they condemn anti-Semitism. The former Premier also took aim at Melbourne's Palestinian protesters, calling them ignorant hypocrites.
Accepting one of the most prestigious honours, the Jerusalem Prize.
Melbourne's Jewish community are not easily impressed.
Daniel Andrews humoured the Caulfield crowd.
So I'm genuinely touched by the affection.
Then his tone changed entirely.
If people won't speak out against anti-Semitism, defund them.
Angered by protests across Melbourne, the former Premier took a stand.
If you want to support Hamas, then get them to pay your bills. Get them to fund your programs and build your buildings. I am serious.
And it came with a promise.
If you do refine your giving, I will back you publicly and loudly.
The same way he condemned pro-Palestine protesters.
She was wearing a T-shirt with a rainbow on it. She was obviously a supporter of the LGBTIQ+ community, as I am. Ladies and gentlemen, try wearing that T-shirt in Gaza and see how that works out for you.
Among those in the room, Liberal MP David Southwick.
The Jewish community have been so supportive when it comes to health, education, philanthropy, right across the board.
Mr Andrews' speech comes just months after Jacinta Allen was publicly ridiculed for not taking enough action at a function celebrating the creation of Israel. Mr Andrews attended the same event and was welcomed with open arms.
The Jewish community are feeling deserted both by Anthony Albanese and Jacinta Allen, and they see them as weak leaders compared to what they saw from Daniel Andrews.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
Hero neighbours have tried in vain to save a man from his burning home in Frankston South. Locals say a CFA volunteer first spotted the blaze in Goldborough Court around 6:30 last night.
So no, he jumped back into his car, grabbed his gear and then started to really try and see if he could get into the place.
We heard like banging and explosions, so the whole roof was just caved in really, really fast.
Arson chemists have spent the day at the property trying to determine just what caused the fatal fire. Donald Trump has ramped up his violent rhetoric, telling supporters he wouldn't mind if someone shot at journalists. The race to the White House is evenly poised as the rivals battle to win favour in the swing states that could hand them the keys to the Oval Office. As Tim Lester reports, Donald Trump has now zoned in on Pennsylvania, North Carolina and Georgia.
Taking another swing.
To get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much.
Team Trump says the Republican candidate was stating the media was in danger and he was looking out for their welfare.
It was a pretty blatant attempt at spinning what Donald Trump said.
It's coming from the fake news. They twist and turn every word the man says.
From someone who's been on the receiving end, a former House Speaker whose husband was attacked.
Our family has experienced the violence. Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy? Coming into our house, violating the sanctity of our home.
Trump escalating his vote-rigging claims.
But these are crooked people.
Regrets, too, about relinquishing the White House to Joe Biden almost 4 years ago.
I shouldn't have left. I mean, honestly.
No celebrity endorsements, rather Trump signalling he's all in for America.
The same people that were at Diddy's parties are not on this stage for Trump.
This is a new single-state poll suggests small-town America might not be as glued to Donald Trump as many had thought. The Iowa poll suggests Kamala Harris is narrowly ahead. in a state that Trump has dominated since he first ran.
They just announced a fake poll. Hey, think of it. Right before the election, that I'm 3 points down. I'm not down in Iowa.
In North Carolina, Tim Lester, 7 News.
And let's go to US Bureau Chief David Woiwod in Washington, D.C. And David, hours out from the election, states are preparing for anything.
Yeah, that's right. Good evening, Mitch. Anyone that now tells you they know how this election race is going to end is either lying or having a total stab in the dark. The very best numbers and analysis on this, they are still pointing to that statistical dead heat, those reputable polls still well within that margin of error, meaning it is either candidate's race now to either win or, for that matter, lose. Now, anecdotally speaking, having driven thousands of kilometres across those crucial battleground states in recent weeks, I can tell you a couple of things. Firstly, there is a deep sense of exhaustion within the electorate right now. But secondly, this time around, many Americans have been unwilling to actually offer and share their political opinions. Now, whether or not that's having a bearing on that polling, we will have to wait and see. But what we do know is that both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris now have under 30 hours to convince those all-important undecided voters.
We thank you for our sister. We thank you for how you have lifted her up.
Seeking Sunday's salvation at a Detroit church.
We'll thank you on Tuesday. We'll thank you on Wednesday.
It's nearly all Vice President Harris can now do in ultra-marginal Michigan.
So, church, we have 2 days. 2 days until we decide the fate of our nation.
Her 11th hour pitch to a blue state threatening to flip.
So, Michigan, I am here to ask for your vote.
Unconvincing for thousands of Muslim Americans living here.
It is my #1 goal to punish the Democrats.
It's punishment, they say, for an ongoing war in Gaza and the Biden administration's support of Israel.
A protest vote, so they're willing to risk some of the comfort that they're living here to say that we do not support genocide. The community is brimming with anger.
And that anger could easily give Donald Trump the 150,000 or so votes needed.
We don't know what's going to happen with Trump, and we're willing to take that chance.
As Democrats take a chance on record early voting.
So make sure you fill out your ballot. I did mine.
Pushing Harris over the line. In Washington, D.C., David Woiwod, 7 News.
And 7's live coverage of the US presidential election count begins at 11:30 on Wednesday morning. Back home, more than 50,000 Coldplay fans were given an almighty fright at Marvel Stadium when frontman Chris Martin fell through a trapdoor. It's the second high-profile stage stumble in recent weeks, but wasn't enough to keep him down.
Coldplay's final Melbourne show went out with a bang.
That's not planned. Thank you for catching me.
Frontman Chris Martin was walking backwards when he fell through a trapdoor at Marvel Stadium. A staff member was underneath and broke his fall.
Thank you, guys. Holy shit. That was nearly a YouTube moment. Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm okay.
So he just fell down on it. He was completely fine.
Well, the belief is they were preparing for Emmanuel Kelly, special guest performer on the show, to come out, and that's why the door was opened.
It's the second hurdle for the band on a roller coaster start to their world tour.
Beautiful bass player Guy is very, very sick.
And just 3 weeks after Olivia Rodrigo took her tumble on a different Melbourne stage.
I mean, show must go on, that's showbiz, baby, but
Yeah!
Despite all the drama, Coldplay still managed to break the attendance record at Marvel on their first tour down under in 8 years. 227,000 people filled the stadium over 4 nights. Among the thousands, a rare appearance from John Farnham, sparking a special tribute. Martin was spotted unscathed in the stands of the MCG this afternoon. He'll head to Sydney next. Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
Tim's here with a look ahead to sport, and Chris Waller couldn't be more confident ahead of the Melbourne Cup.
Mitchie's got one of the favourites and a couple of smokies. We'll hear how his contenders are shaping up shortly. Also, Mitchell Starc makes an early statement at the MCG with Pakistan in a spin in the opening one-dayer. Formula One cars go flying in Brazil as Mighty Max pulls off one of the great comebacks, and relief for Ange Postecoglou in the Premier League. Plenty ahead soon, Mitch.
See you then. Thank you very much, Tim. A grocery black market is operating right under your nose in Melbourne. Next, 7 News is there for the street side sting, catching out crooks accused of selling everything from meat to medicine. Also ahead, Mongols on the Monash, 5 bikies wanted for attacking a learner rider. Spain's king pelted with mud as locals take aim over the flood disaster. And later, how this 2-year-old survived a deadly eastern brown snake bite. Life-saving advice for families ahead of summer. Supermarket thieves are preying on struggling Melbourne families as cost of living heartache reaches new extremes. 7 News was there as police smashed the black market grocery ring, catching crooks hawking stolen goods on the street.
A makeshift meat market on the main street of St Albans.
2 for 10, not 3. You heard me first time.
From eye fillet to a pork belly roast, there's plenty of variety, all stolen from local retailers.
Meat, fish, there's cosmetics, expensive cosmetics, liquor.
Snatched, then sold illegally on the footpath in Alfreda Street.
There's people who just come and buy it at a cheaper rate.
Scenes like this have become the new normal.
Would you buy meat in a hot day on the soup on the floor?
Concerningly, people do. They're desperate to feed families for less and save a bit of money on essentials.
Come on. 100. Where's the meat?
The demand is so huge, it's a seller's market.
Have a little box and do an auction.
Stealing to order. Like, someone would say, I need 20 kilos of meat. And then they'd go and steal that.
Victoria Police have started targeted blitzes to stop thieves in the act. This man busted with more than 10 jars of coffee.
Did you steal them to sell them on the street?
And face cream.
What were you going to be doing with all those products?
Police have a warning for buyers too.
It's an offence to buy stolen goods, so we'll be targeting those people as well.
People want to buy cheap stuff. I mean, I don't care how they get it.
This trend has been happening in St Albans for years, but police say because of the rising cost of living, it's escalated recently, with more than 700 retail thefts recorded in Brimbank this year.
Without any health regulations, the floor pantry also comes with major health risks.
Someone's going to end up dying from the salmonella poisoning or something if they buy this stuff.
Tyra Stowers, 7 News.
The Allen government has hiked up the cost of dying, quietly raising probate fees by 650%. The changes mean estates worth between $1 and $2 million that previously paid around $600 in fees will now be slugged almost $2,500.
For the Allen Labor government to resort to taxing dead Victorians and their grieving families, and to announce it on the eve of Melbourne Cup, just shows you how bankrupt this government is, financially and morally.
The government says fees for estates under $250,000 will be free. An L-plate motorcycle rider has been targeted by bikies on the Monash freeway. Police say 5 members of the Mongols are seen in this dashcam footage, with one attempting to punch and kick the innocent rider for no apparent reason. Investigators say they've been unable to identify the victim and want to speak to him. Outraged flood survivors have hurled mud and accusations of murder at Spain's king on a royal visit to the disaster zone. They say by the time they were warned about the danger, homes and lives were already lost.
He came to express his sympathy. He was met with their scorn. Murderers, murderers, chant the flood survivors, hurling mud and more insults at King Felipe of Spain. Queen Letizia visibly shaken with dirt on her face. Told she doesn't want for anything by a victim. Mounted police and security forcing crowds back. Still, the king continued. This is one source of anger. By the time official alerts arrived, these residents' homes had been destroyed, their loved ones killed. Another is the response. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's convoy was attacked too, because it's volunteers, not police or military personnel at their front doors.
Please, the dead are still in the garages. Families are looking for their relatives and friends.
Adding to the outrage, in the wealthy parts of Valencia, there's no sign a natural disaster struck because the River Turia that used to run beneath this bridge was redirected after a flood in 1957 near poorer communities in the case of a future catastrophe that has now arrived, killing at least 217 people with more storms on the way. In Valencia, Ben Downey, 7 News.
This year's RSL Poppy Appeal is underway. Volunteers will be around the city in coming days, leading up to Remembrance Day on November 11th. The Flanders Poppy has been used since 1921 to commemorate Australian soldiers who've died in war. Money raised goes directly to helping veterans in need. Can you see me? It's a question passengers at Melbourne Airport can expect to hear this month. We'll explain why next on 7 News. Also ahead, Victorian teachers on a crusade for extra curriculum days. Westpac announces a jaw-dropping profit as the RBA prepares to make a big rate call. And the controversial red carpet arrival that has Princess Diana fans fuming. Australians travelling through the nation's busiest airports are being called on to help fight crime. Tonight, 7 News can reveal a new campaign to save young victims from human trafficking.
It's a real and daily threat. But modern slavery is often a hidden crime. From today, Sydney and Melbourne airports are hoping to expose human traffickers and save their victims.
Airports are a microcosm of society, and unfortunately human trafficking is an issue that we as an Australian society need to address.
The video campaign shows examples of trafficking and what to look for.
You could come into contact with a potential victim in your day-to-day life.
Somebody might be a little bit nervous and anxious. They might be unusually submissive to the people they're travelling with.
It is sadly increasing, so everyone can have this opportunity to be informed and call it out.
Last year, there were almost 400 reports of human trafficking here in Australia, an increase of 12%.
Could be somebody walking through the airport right now on their way overseas against their will.
This campaign will run across domestic and international terminals in Sydney and Melbourne for the next month, targeting close to 7 million travellers.
And that is a lot of people who can look out for others.
That one call, that one person that makes a report can bring one of those people out of exploitation.
And into freedom. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
Victorian parents could soon be forced to juggle more student-free days. Teachers are pushing for extra training time as part of negotiations for a new EBA.
There's a lot of markers that we could say in Australia we're struggling in, where we're leading the world, is denying our teachers planning time.
Victorian teachers currently get 5 pupil-free days a year, 3 fewer than their New South Wales counterparts. Hopes of a Cup Day interest rate cut have all been dashed. But homeowners are saving in other ways, and it's hurting the big banks, with Westpac reporting a dip in profits.
The rate that stops the nation.
What's your bet when it comes to interest rates?
They will stay the same.
Punters confident there'll be no Cup Day cut.
They'll stay the same.
Pretty safe bet?
Yes, I think so.
Economists wagering the same.
Your big certainty for Melbourne Cup, no change to interest rates tomorrow.
As the nation's second largest lender revealed just how much homeowners are hurting, Westpac says more than 47,000 borrowers are struggling to pay their mortgages. The pain peaked in June and has now eased, with a 10% increase in customers stashing cash.
Higher interest rates
cost of living challenges are hurting some customers.
Prompting them to shop around. A competitive market seeing Westpac's profits slip, but still hitting $7 billion.
On average, borrowers have haggled or refinanced their way out of over 3 standard RBA hikes. That is fantastic. It is putting pressure on the big banks.
Westpac's best bet is that the first interest rate cut comes in February, and the rest of the big four agree.
Inflation has come down a long way, but still a little on the high side. Jobs still travelling a little fast, and the Reserve will want to see what happens in the US election.
Amelia Brace, 7 News.
Influencer Kim Kardashian has come under fire for wearing a piece of jewellery made famous by Princess Diana. Critics took to social media calling Kardashian vulgar and revolting. The reality TV star purchased the crucifix for $300,000 at a Sotheby's auction last year. Diana wore the same piece at a charity gala in 1987. A 2-year-old boy has survived a close call with an eastern brown snake. Next, his family's warning ahead of summer. Also ahead, the hunt for an accused thief with a penchant for pies in Glen Waverley. The Melbourne suburbs defying property price expectations. And after sport, a Melbourne family's warning after cosmetic surgery turned to tragedy. An inquest into the disappearance of William Tyrrell has resumed, focusing on a police theory that his foster mother loaded his body into a car and buried him after an accidental death. Counsel assisting told the inquiry today it's thought she illegally disposed of the remains when the toddler fatally fell from the balcony of his foster grandmother's home. The allegations have long been denied. A toddler has been praised for his quick thinking after he was bitten by a deadly brown snake. The 2-year-old is still learning to talk but managed to alert his mum, who was inside doing the laundry.
Little Ezra is still learning to talk, but there's one word he already knows well.
Say, play.
I said to Ezra, now where did it get you? I cried. I was shaking.
The 2-year-old was playing in the backyard of his Adelaide home when he felt a sharp pain in his foot. He immediately raced inside to alert his mum.
I saw the bite mark and yeah, it was just extremely scary, to be honest.
As his frantic parents rang 000, they saw the eastern brown slither out of sight.
To have that thought of my son is going to die, you know, we're just about to lose our little man, there's no words to describe that.
Fortunately, the bite was dry, meaning no poison had been injected. But if there had been, doctors believe Ezra's quick thinking could well have saved his life.
The fact that he could identify what a snake was fantastic for him, that he could get that message across to mum straight away.
Experts say all children should be taught about the dangers of venomous creatures by the time they turn 3. It could be as simple as reading a picture book and telling them what to do if they encounter a snake.
It's a lesson this clever toddler has mastered. Jasmine Turlings, 7 News.
It's anything but a typical spring property season, with the number of homes selling under the hammer dropping. Angelique OP breaks down the latest auction figures.
Across Australia, 63% of homes sold at auction. The national clearance rate falling to the lowest all year. Spring certainly moving to favour buyers. In Melbourne, only 400 properties sold, way down from the week before because of the spring racing carnival. This retro beach shack in Rye went under the hammer for $740,000. It last sold for $280,000 20 years ago. It features plenty of brick and timber, vintage wallpaper and a 70s style bathroom. The buyer looking to renovate and potentially rebuild.
The Glen Shopping Centre has a pie thief on the prowl. Security footage captured the accused jumping the counter and heading straight for the pastry cabinet. The great pie heist happened around 8 o'clock on Saturday night. No arrests have yet been made. Tim's back with sport, and Tim, history beckons for one jockey tomorrow at Flemington.
Mitch is chasing a record-breaking Cup win, and he's on a good chance too. We'll speak to him after the break. Also, how Chris Waller hopes to overcome a tough barrier draw for Australia's best hope. Pakistan's tail puts up a fight with some late hitting at the MCG, leaving the Aussies red-faced, while weather creates chaos in Brazil as Mad Max goes full steam, pulling off an epic comeback, and relief for Ange Postecoglou in the Premier League. Welcome back. Chris Waller is confident the wide barrier draw will make no difference to the chances of his star gelding Buckaroo at Flemington tomorrow. The master trainer is aiming for his second at Melbourne Cup and will settle up 5 runners in the great race.
A final sunrise session before their most important race of the year. These Melbourne Cup stars soaking it all in. The next stop, Flemington. Chris Waller hoping to win his second Melbourne Cup. The star trainer has 5 chances this year. His best hope, 6-year-old gelding Buckaroo from barrier 21.
I'm not too concerned about the draw for Buckaroo. He's done a lot of work. So when you're doing a lot of work, you're scared that you might be doing too much with them and just jading them slightly. But was quite the opposite. He said, I'm ready to go. So that was great with him.
His main competition, International Vauban. His jockey, William Buick, flying in from the UK for the ride.
The Cup last year, he had a fair level of form, but again, this year he's stepped up again. So obviously he's carrying the weight for it, but his form is rock solid in the UK and Ireland.
Karen McAvoy has won the Melbourne Cup 3 times, today reminiscing with his past winners, Almandon and Brew. He could become just the 3rd jockey to win 4 times. This year with 7-year-old gelding, Absurd.
If I was able to achieve that by equalling the record, it would just be the cherry on top. There's a few butterflies, which is good to feel because it means so much. Looking to put some previous experience to good use tomorrow.
There's 4 female jockeys in this year's Cup, a new record. Jamie Carr riding on board Akita Sushi for Kieran Ma. The field also includes debutante Winona Costin partnering with Positivity.
It's just a childhood dream come true. Everything about it is just so special.
Kate Massey, 7 News.
And don't forget, tomorrow it's the big dance with $3 million up for grabs. Seven's coverage is live and free from midday. Well, for a few minutes, Mitchell Starc had selectors' hearts in mouths with a hamstring scare in today's first one-dayer at the MCG. The paceman picked up 3 wickets before Pakistan was bowled out for 203.
Of the few in early at the MCG, Chris Martin, not the ex-Kiwi paceman, Coldplay, and heat from Mitchell Starc. 100 one-day wickets on home turf to 101, moving the new white ball both ways. Bubba Azam made 37 before Adam Zampa arrived.
Slides it through there, Adam Zampa.
Cheeky Cameron Goulam
Bolstering it.
amused Pat Cummins for 1 delivery.
All gloves and taken.
4 for 70 before a scare from Starc, grabbing a hammy, stretching, then leaving the G.
Looks like a cramp.
A heart-stopper for selectors 18 days before the first test. False alarm for now, but there's a hectic schedule ahead. There's always the wannabe all-rounder to have a bowl.
Yes, he can. Marnus Labuschagne.
Starc finished his 10 overs.
Straight through him, Mitchell Starc.
3 for 33, but Naseem Shah's 6-hitting cameo made a game of it, thrilling a majority Pakistani crowd. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
An all-time great racing fight back has Max Verstappen on the brink of a 4th world title. Dangerously wet conditions in Sao Paulo had drivers slipping off the track and crashing throughout the Brazilian Grand Prix, but Verstappen avoided chaos to become just the 5th driver to win from starting 17th or lower.
My emotions today have been a roller coaster. I mean, unbelievable. To win here from so far back on the grid. We stayed out of trouble, we made the right calls, we stayed calm, and we were flying.
Lando Norris dropped to 6th after starting on pole and now trails Verstappen by 62 points with 3 races to go. Oscar Piastri struggled in 8th. Well, there's no doubt Tottenham are the entertainers of the Premier League. Trailing at half-time, Ange Postecoglou's Spurs fired in 4 second-half goals to seal a 4-1 win against Aston Villa. Remarkably, they've scored the most goals this season, but still sit 7th.
The seal set on an impressive victory.
Manchester United drew 1-1 with Chelsea in their first league game since the sacking of manager Erik ten Hag. And Ange, he just loves his team scoring, Mitch.
He does.
He likes them to defend too, by the way.
I'll take 4 any day of the week. Thank you very much, Tim. A grieving Melbourne family is urging anyone heading overseas for cosmetic surgery to think again. A mother of 5 died after undergoing cheap liposuction, with Australian surgeons warning the risks far outweigh the savings.
Miriam Hardy is mourning the tragic loss of her mother. Layla Arwan died suddenly after travelling to Iran for liposuction and a tummy tuck.
She was screaming in pain and they were doing nothing. They didn't do a single scan.
The 51-year-old needed to lose weight quickly before a knee operation and suffered stabbing pain and bleeding after the procedures. Those symptoms were dismissed by the clinic. 10 days later, Layla was dead.
And they neglected her the entire time and they failed her. They failed us because we all, I believe, lost a great woman.
Iran is famous for cosmetic surgery, with liposuction now the most popular procedure globally. In the Middle East, it's half price, which is why Layla Arwan took the risk. Australian surgeons issuing a strong warning.
Well, cosmetic surgery is not like buying a TV or a fridge. You know, it's not just a commodity. You're dealing with your own health and wellness and potentially your life.
Miriam and her siblings want their mother remembered as a tireless domestic violence advocate.
It was a pure love for people and wanting to help people, and she did so much with not even knowing how to speak English that well.
The family is calling on the Australian government to pressure Iranian authorities to investigate.
A lot of sorries and a lot of I love yous that I wanted to say that I had no way of giving to her.
Karina Carvalho, 7 News.
Back to Jane at Flemington now. And Jane, it's hard to imagine a better Cup Day forecast.
Mitch, conditions are looking absolutely splendid here for the Cup. It should rise about 6 degrees higher than today. And on tonight's bright side, a pitch-perfect performance for a musical milestone. Hello again. Conditions are looking perfect for this year's running of the Melbourne Cup. Temperatures rise into the mid-20s in bright sunshine, and the winds are lighter than we saw on Derby Day and right now as well. Areas of cloud hung around this morning, but most of it cleared to a sunny afternoon. We reached 19 in the city. Nearby Essendon peaked at 20. The average for this time of year is 22, so we're on the cool side. There are showers, rain and storms to our north, heaviest after you've headed well into New South Wales. Areas of cloud lingered in the south, with isolated showers near the coast this morning. That cloud is breaking up. The activity to our north is thanks to a trough running into the eastern states. We're on the cool side with high pressure back over to our west. But watch that high get on the move. It'll cross overnight and sit to our east tomorrow. Then the next trough and cold front approach. The high moving to the east is the catalyst for our temperatures to rise. Warm tomorrow and then hot on Wednesday. With the next trough and front approaching, our winds strengthen midweek ahead of a cool change. Now, there may be thunderstorms on this change, but we won't experience that until Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow is all about the warmth and sunshine. Around the nation tomorrow, 32 in Brisbane, a slight risk of a late shower or storm. Sydney's races will be looking very different to ours. Grey skies all day, light showers in the area. Warm in Adelaide, showers and storms are likely, mild and showery in Perth. To Victoria, we're set for a sunny day nearly statewide. That is after early fogs. Temperatures rise above average in light northerly winds and sea breezes at the coast. Cloud builds in the northwest later as isolated showers and storms develop in the far corner. They don't reach the rest until Wednesday. Wednesday. Closer in, we are set for a lovely holiday Tuesday. A cool start, a pleasant day, sunshine right across the Melbourne area. Light northeast winds, a bit of southeast sea breeze, so it is cooler in western parts near the bay and similar in Western Port. I'm expecting a top of 25 in the city, quickly warming after a cool start. Bright sunshine all day. Then cloud arrives at night to keep it warm if you're celebrating. Here at Flemington, it looks a degree warmer. To the 8-day outlook, Wednesday, that is the hot day, expecting 33. There's the risk of storms during the day. Most of it will be quite dry. We'll see them early and then later, and that's when the cool change comes through late afternoon. Oaks Day Thursday, clearing out to sunshine slowly on a cool one, and then we'll have some showers on Friday. We should rise to 25 in the bright sunshine tomorrow. Lighter winds than now. Great conditions, a stunning Melbourne Cup day, Mitch. Now to tonight's bright side. Striking a chord in Camberwell. This choir has just hit a major milestone. The dulcet tones of the chorale have been ringing through Melbourne's leafy east for 80 years, making it one of the oldest community choirs in the country. The Camberwell Chorale marked the special occasion in concert at the Hawthorn Arts Centre, also celebrating Douglas Haywood's 50th year as musical director. And Mitch, now I'll throw back to you. The Camberwell Chorale welcomes members from all walks of life to enjoy the benefits of learning and performing all that music together.
Good on them. Thank you very much indeed, Jane. And that's the way it is this Monday, the 4th of November. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.